Transit. Matt did come with prepared audio-visual display, but we've had some technical difficulties, so please make Matt feel welcome and ignore any of the difficulties that we're having. Thank you.
Yes, sorry, excuse me. One of the key ways as an engineer I can tell you in order to make money out of a captive audience is to make your connector the wrong size, and that's unfortunately the problem with the USB. It's the wrong size, so it doesn't fit in the laptop, so we can't connect the projector. Now, if you're building a railway, you wouldn't think you'd make the trains the wrong size or the tunnels the wrong size in order to stop another train fitting in. But this is what is happening in Sydney. This is Rod Staples' direction for the North West Rail Link. It is a deliberate attempt to ensure that there are two different incompatible rail networks in Sydney. Now this is done because inside Transport for New South Wales there are two factions, and they have been for a while. There is the Metro faction and there is the City Rail faction. And the Metro faction have been trying to ensure that all new transport in Sydney is built to a Metro standard and is incompatible with the City Rail network, so it can be run entirely driverless, unmanned, no people at the stations, and run by a private company. Now Rod Staples has been the champion of this, and he started back with the Sydney Link, which was the North West Metro. Now the North West Metro is the North West Rail Link, and with a bit that ran down to Victoria Road and the Hounsell CBD Metro into the city. Now, when he tried to get this built, the state went okay, and us people in the community, transport community looked at it and went, it's not too bad. Frankly, the idea of sending a metro all the way out to the northwest is ludicrous based on international standards, but it'll do. Then the ministers looked at it and said, well, we can't afford $8 billion, so we'll cut it down. And so Rod Staples spent $500 million to build nothing of the Hounsell CBD Metro. And one of the big problems with the Hounsell CBD Metro is it was designed to block the Pitt Street and the Sussex Street corridors so that it could not be used by the City Rail network. Now, he had a plan for 7 metros that went all the way up to the north and all the way down to the south and out west, and it's a rather interesting plan. But that's billions and billions and billions of dollars. Every new underground rail line costs $200 million a kilometre. That is a lot of money. A light rail on the surface costs $20 million a kilometre. The underground metro actually can hold 900 people per car. That's 27,000 people per hour. When they say it's 40,000 people, what they're doing is quoting the 1,300 crush capacity, where everyone is literally physically crammed into the metro and pushing and squirming to get off. And the reason they quote 1,300 people per hour is because that is the crush capacity of a double-deck train. Now, a double-deck train can hold 1,200 people per hour. And the cost of building double-deck and single-deck in Sydney is the same. We've been told this by the construction companies. We actually were told that they had offered to build it big enough for the double-deck, an extra 60 centimetres bigger, and they were told, no, we want it incompatible. So, after this debacle with the failure to build a metro for $500 million, which still would have been one of the most expensive in the world, the metro in Sydney was cancelled. And it was back to the original double-deck plan. Now the double-deck plan for the northwest actually would have relieved congestion on the M4, it would have relieved congestion on the Western Line, it would have saved the Sydney a lot of money. Christie outlined this in his 2000 report into the railways because he was the Commissioner of Railways. He said that we needed a line, an extra 2 tracks from Sydenham to Erskineville, where it goes from 6 to 4 and then back to 6 again. We needed an extra 2 tracks at Homebush to Lidcombe, where it does the same thing, where it goes from 6 lanes to 4 lanes and back to 6. And his cost estimates for those two was $200 million each. So for $400 million, he thought we could up the capacity on the network by 50%. And yet we are now going to spend $10 billion to build a metro under these suburbs through nice, soft, wet sand that is really expensive to dig through if it goes down the Waterloo line, and all to build Rod Staples Metro. Now, why is the Waterloo option there? There's already a train line under Waterloo. It's the airport rail link. And there was a station that was meant to be built right in the middle of George and Phillip Street, which is the public housing towers. So why would you build another line through there? Well, Urban Growth New South Wales, who is currently chaired by John Brogden, former Liberal leader, is the government's for-profit property developer. They are now going to be handed all of the public housing in Waterloo and Redfern. The public housing down here on Henderson Road, all the public housing in the towers and the other side of that, that is all earmarked now for urban renewal. In other words, private developers. They're going to sell it off and take the profits. And they're going to put into the area 40,000 extra people. This is on top of the 50,000 extra people that are predicted by the City of Sydney to move in under their Green Square Zetland Waterloo plan. So that's an extra 90,000 people in that corridor. Now the thing is, the metro isn't going to go down the middle of that corridor or down the east of that corridor to serve where the most people are. It's not going to have a whole heap of stops like any regular European metro. It's going to have one stop. Now, who designs a metro like that? The answer is no one. So why is this happening? Well, it appears that there is a conflict between two factions within the government. There is the Department of Planning, who want to build more high-rises. There's the Department of Transport that just wants to try and make the city work. Now, the Department of Transport has been told all of your previous plans, all of your cheap, simple, iterative improvements to the network are out. We're going with Staples' private metro. So that means no $200 million improvement to the West line, no $200 million improvement to the Bankstown line, no extra services for simple, cheap solutions. We're going to build this metro. Sorry, excuse me. But one of the big problems about all this is the Erskineville station in St. Peter's. There's not enough capacity for them now. If you take away the trains, basically they're going to attempt to starve you of trains so that you stop using them and you go to the buses. They have done this in other places. Now, the reason for that is the south is already over capacity. So the Illawarra line is over capacity and there's nothing they can do about it. There's too much demand. Once Leppington and all of the new urban activation precincts are triggered on the line through Casula all the way to Macarthur, and the urban activation precincts down in the southwest, once they're active, there'll be too many people on those trains for you to get anyone onto the East Hills lines. Once the Bankstown line, which is the only line in the city without congestion problems, once that's taken out and shut for a year, there just won't be any services for you. Now, the Bankstown line is now out earmarked for urban activation, and it's supposed to go through to service all these people, these 90,000 extra people down in Alexandria and Zetland. Yet, that's going to be full of people coming from Bankstown. And at the same time, they predict that they're going to need an extra 20 services an hour at Green Square just to service that demand. So we start to say, what the hell is going on here? And the simple answer is, they are incompetent. I've looked at it and I can see no other answer. If we re-signal the network like the French have done, and basically every other Western well, frankly, actually, every other major industrialized and developing nation in the world has done. Brazil is well ahead of us. Kazakhstan, yes, Korea.
North Korea.
That's true. Once you re-signal the network, you can boost the number of services up to 30 trains an hour. So that's 36,000 people per line. That's my 10 minutes. Once you've got that, you've then got 208,000 people per hour that can go north and south through this corridor. And the cost of that is in the millions. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we going to do? And basically, I suggest you just start screening, because it's the only way that you're going to get paid attention to. The number of extra people coming into Ashmore, the number of extra people coming into the urban activation precincts, just are going to suck up all of your services. And here's the little bit of thing that the Treasury never wants you to know, is no urban activation precinct has actually made the city money. In the end, they all end up coming as a net loss. And I was told that by one of the planners for Piedmont. They said, once you include schools, health, electricity, water, sewerage, because let's be honest, that is a very important thing when you've got a lot of people, the actual cost to the state is much higher than any stamp duty or land sale revenue. So it's time that we stand up and we scream and say, we want consultation, we want proper input, and stop treating this like idiots.
We're now going to hear from Senator Lee Rhiannon. Please welcome her.